along with creating a social promo, which I consider an important part of the post-production package, there's also the setting up of the newsletter, right? It's an option. It's something that a lot of people use. In fact, when I had my podcast early on, the Blueprint series, I sort of interviewed a lot of content creators, and eventually the podcast shifted as I got better at my niche and determining who my audience really is, because it's something that's going to continue to evolve. I started focusing more on careers and giving people insights on a day in the life and a career. But originally, I had started really interviewing content creators and their philosophy on work and life. But I always was pulling tips from people who could help me understand content creation better. And one of those was Joe Pulizzi, which was the founder of Content Marketing Institute. And in the podcast interview, he tells me about how he used the podcast as a supplemental form of content, but not his mainstay. Now, there are people who have launched podcasts and that's their main bread and butter content, but that's the exception to the rule. Most people have done the opposite, which is they have a newsletter from being a long-term a public figure or an influential person in professional communities or artistic creative communities, and they have a newsletter that goes out weekly, monthly, even annually, and in there they stay top of mind with people, right? And your podcast is a great way to stay top of mind. Look at it that way. And your newsletter is one option on how you can further get eyes and ears on your podcast, depending if it's a vodcast, a video podcast, or if it's a podcast where it's audio only. It's a great way to supplement and amplify your reach, because discoverability is still a huge issue in this industry. So don't get discouraged if your audience isn't growing fast. The secret to it really is just consistency and choosing guests appropriate to your message and your brand, and then having them share it with their audience and cross-pollinating that way. That's about the gist of promotional material for your podcast. Other than that, it's a lot like being a band. The difference between being found online because it's someone's looking for red shoes versus whatever the name of your podcast is, there's a big difference. If you made it up, nobody's looking for you, but they might be looking for the subject matter that you're talking about. And I'll get into that in the next video.